impossible to ignore artificial intelligence, isn't it? It's just everywhere in our daily lives now.
It really is. And while, the big flashy stuff gets the headlines, it's these quieter shifts, especially around education, that I think deserve a closer look.
Exactly how it weaves into fundamental things like schools, that requires some real analysis, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Yep.
Stepping back and asking what's really going on.
Which is precisely why we're doing this deep dive today. We're focusing on this growing push to integrate AI into K-12 education. A lot of this momentum comes from the executive order advancing artificial intelligence education for American youth.
Right.
And for our sources, we've got the text of that order itself, several expert analyses looking at, the potential impacts, and some wider discussions about AI's place in education generally.
And our goal here isn't just to skim the surface. We really want to unpack the arguments for this early AI education push. But just as importantly, dig into the very real concerns and criticisms that people are raising. We want to give you, the listener, a balanced, insightful view of what's quite a complex picture.
Okay, so let's start with the why. What are the core arguments driving this, especially those laid out in the executive order?
Well, the central theme, really, from the order and the discussions around it, is preparation. Preparing American kids for a future that, let's face it, is going to be heavily influenced by AI.
So it's seen as inevitable, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The argument is, this isn't sci-fi anymore. It's here. It's growing. So we need to equip young people now with the foundational knowledge, the skills, to not just cope, but to lead and innovate in this AI-driven world.
It's more than just using the latest app then, it's deeper.
Exactly. Proponents say early exposure can spark curiosity, creativity, get kids thinking in new ways about technology. The goal is to make them active participants, future innovators in the workforce. And there's also the promise, often highlighted, of AI potentially improving education itself through personalized learning, tailored resources, maybe even AI tutors.
Okay, and the executive order isn't just aspirational talk, right? It puts things in motion.
Yes, it outlines concrete steps. A big one is setting up the White House Task Force on Artificial Intelligence Education. The idea is a coordinated federal approach.
A central command, sort of.
You could put it that way. Then there's the presidential AI challenge, meant to drive innovation, get different sectors, government, academia, industry working together.
So fostering collaboration is key.
Very much so. And the order emphasizes public-private partnerships, too, specifically for developing online K-12 AI resources.
Interesting.
Plus, there are directives for the Secretary of Education on using grant money for AI-driven improvements in schools and prioritizing AI in teacher training programs.
Ah, the teacher training piece. That seems crucial.
It is. You can't roll this out without equipping educators. The order also pushes for more research via the NSF and Department of Agriculture on AI in education.
Okay.
And it directs the Labor Secretary to boost AI apprenticeships and use existing workforce funds for AI skills. Finally, it encourages high schoolers to take AI courses, get certifications, maybe through dual enrollment.
Wow, that's quite comprehensive.
It is. The stated overarching goal is national leadership in AI, built on this educational foundation.
Right. A multi-pronged strategy from early grades right through to the workforce. Okay, let's pivot now. What about the other side of the coin? What are the main concerns, the counter-arguments people are raising?
And this is where the discussion gets, well, really critical. A major concern is the assumption that students already have strong foundational skills, math, literacy.
Which isn't always the case, is it?
Far from it, critics say. In many schools, that foundation is shaky. So throwing complex AI concepts on top of that, well, some worry it becomes an elitist initiative.
Meaning it only really benefits kids who are already ahead.
Precisely. It could widen existing gaps. There's a fear of overwhelming students and teachers if the basics aren't solid. You risk superficial learning, frustration. Then there's what some are calling the corporate pipeline critique.
Okay, what's that about?
The worry is that focusing heavily on technical AI training and certifications early on narrows education's purpose. It risks reducing it purely to workforce prep.
And neglecting the other stuff, like critical thinking, ethics, civic engagement.
Exactly. That holistic development piece. Critics argue those broader skills, vital for navigating a complex world, could get sidelined if the focus is just on meeting immediate industry needs.
I see.
Teacher disempowerment is another significant concern. Fears about increased surveillance through AI tools in the classroom,
Uh-huh.
de-skilling, as AI automates tasks teachers used to do, or being subjected to opaque algorithmic assessments, basically undermining their professional judgment.
The human element being potentially overridden by algorithms,
Oh.
that's unsettling.
It raises fundamental questions, and tied to that are the ethics of these public-private partnerships. Who's influencing the curriculum? How is student data being collected and used? Is it opening the door to marketing in schools?
Right, the question of whose interests are really being served, public education or corporate bottom lines.
Exactly. Even something like the Presidential AI Challenge gets scrutinized. Is it truly fostering equity, or mostly rewarding those already privileged with resources? Could it be more PR than systemic change?
That's a fair question. And what about those personalized AI learning tools? They sound good in theory, but are there downsides?
Definitely potential downsides being raised. One is bias. If the AI is trained on biased data, it might just reinforce existing societal biases, harming some students.
So it could actually worsen inequality.
That's the fear. There's also the risk of reducing students to data giants, overlooking their individuality. And could it create passive learning, where kids just receive info instead of actively engaging?
Yeah.
And then there's the huge issue of privacy, all that data being collected. Plus, can an algorithm truly replace the nuance, the intuition, the empathy of a human teacher? Many argue it can't.
That human connection seems irreplaceable, really.
That's a core argument. This focus on certification also raises flags about the commodification of education. Are we just churning out credentialed workers or fostering broader understanding?
Understanding needed to grapple with AI's societal impact, not just use the tool.
Precisely. Is national leadership just about technical skill, or should it include ethical and equitable integration? There's a risk, some say, of creating technically skilled people without a strong ethical foundation.
The can we build it versus should we build it question applied to education.
You've got it. That's why many critics stress integrating ethics, philosophy, societal context into the AI curriculum. It's seen as vital for critical evaluation, understanding moral dilemmas, societal consequences.
Makes sense.
And sort of underlying all this are those persistent fundamental problems in U.S. education. Gaps in basic skills, huge inequities in resources, teachers, broadband, infrastructure. Critics argue you have to fix those before you can layer AI on top effectively and equitably.
It really highlights that core tension, doesn't it? The push to prepare kids for an AI future versus the need for a well-rounded, equitable education that values, well, human development.
Absolutely. The sources we looked at show a real debate with valid points on all sides. It's not a simple yes or no. It's about the how, the when, the safeguards, the ethics.
So, thinking through all these arguments we've discussed, what aspects of this AI integration push strike you personally as most promising or perhaps most concerning? And looking ahead, what fundamental shifts might our education system need to actually make this work, to ensure AI lifts all learners without sacrificing those crucial human elements and equity? That's a lot to think about.
It really is. It forces a hard look at what we truly value in education in this century and how technology fits into that vision or potentially disrupts it.
Yeah.
We need to be thoughtful about not worsening disparities or losing sight of the teacher's vital role.
So just to wrap up our deep dive today, we've seen the ambitious goals of this executive order for AI education, the specific steps outlined,
Right, the task force, the challenge, the partnerships.
and also the significant counter-arguments. Concerns about holistic education, about equity, privacy, and the impact on teachers themselves.
It's clear this is very much an evolving landscape, with strong opinions on different sides about the best path forward.
And as AI keeps embedding itself deeper into society, it leaves us with a crucial question for you to consider. How do we ensure education equips the next generation, not just with tech skills, but with the critical thinking, the ethical compass, to shape AI's future responsibly and equitably for everyone?
That's the fundamental challenge ahead.
It certainly is something to keep exploring.